So where's the beef? Is it grass-fed beef, grain-fed beef? Is there a difference when you go and order a steak or a hamburger, if you're putting something on the grill? Is what you're eating something that's going to help you to nourish your body, to help you to gain the most amazing level of health possible? Or is it something perhaps that could hinder your ability to do just that? Well, I'm here with Sabrina. I'm Dr. Joel Feeman, and today we're going to talk with you about the difference between grass-fed beef and grain-fed beef. So before we get into the benefits of why grass-fed beef is so much better for you, not just in our opinion, but in what the research shows, let's first kind of set the stage in terms of why some of the conventionally raised beef is not quite as good. First off, let's talk about how grass-fed versus grain-fed beef are raised. You see, grain-fed beef are raised obviously with grain, right? And so when you deal with raising them with grain, you're dealing with the whole issues of GMO and pesticides and herbicides and hormones and all the things that come along with that. And those things are not shown to be of great benefit when it comes to being healthy. On a side note, you also have the issue of the business of raising cattle. I have a farm myself. I grew up on a farm, and to be honest with you, although I raise my own natural grass-fed, grass-finished beef, business is business, okay? So farmers are working hard day in and day out. The reality of why they do this, why they modify the genetics of the cow itself, why they are using the GMO products, the pesticides and herbicides, is because time is money, and that's your livelihood. And so the reality is that you want these cows to grow as fast as possible, to mature and to weigh more, because when you take them to market, every pound counts, because that's what's either going in your wallet or that's what's staying in somebody else's wallet. And so it is business and business. We can't hold them at fault, because most people go to work because they're trying to earn a living. But the reality is that it's still your life and your health. And this is why it's so important to understand from a health conscious perspective of why there are benefits to choosing grass-fed, grass-finished beef.
So talking about how that cow is raised, well, this is very unnatural for the cow. The cows are having to go really fast, but then that puts stress on them, and that decreases their immune system. It also puts stress on their bones. Their bones aren't able to keep up with that fast-growing process, and neither are their organs. So therefore, their bodies can't naturally work the way that they were supposed to work. So it's because of this that grain-fed cows actually have less nutrients in their byproducts, like their beef, than grass-fed cows.
Now, what this does with the increased usage of the pesticides and hormones and things like that is the fact that it affects our bodies, right? So many of these things are hormone and endocrine disruptors. In other words, it increases your risk then of not just things like weight gain, but your metabolic diseases, increases your risk of diabetes and cancer, among a whole host of other things as well.
And as mentioned, you're totally getting gypped. If you were to have a cow that was raised properly, there would be more vitamins and minerals. You get more bang for your buck.
So what can you do instead, right? Well, the big thing you want to try to make sure you're doing is look at your labels and always go with organic when you can, and look for your grass-fed, grass-finished. Now, I talk about this oftentimes where I basically lay down the foundation, the difference between your conventionally raised versus your grass-fed grass-finished beef, right? Because there is a difference. As we just mentioned, most conventionally raised beef are raised in cement lots using grain and corn and things of that nature. Grass-fed beef are raised primarily most of their lives on pasture and hays and things like that during the wintertime. But the difference is that when you have grass-fed, grass-finished, that means their entire life, up to the point of when they're either ready for the butcher or to produce their milk, it's going to be raised on grasses alone. So you're going to have the benefits of all that comes along with that, the vitamins and minerals and nutrients, just like you said. If it doesn't say, however, on the label that it's grass-fed and grass-finished, then oftentimes what they've done is they've raised them on pasture most of their lives, right? But usually during the last several weeks of their life, before they're taken to the butcher, then what happens is they confine their area to get them to move less. Oftentimes it's not quite as filled with the natural air and the sunlight. It just depends on the farm. But more than that, then they start to try to fatten them up, because people like the marbling, they like the fat in their meat. And so what happens is they give them all these things right before you eat them. So it's almost like, why would you try, it's like keeping a pool clean. If you try to keep your pool clean and clear the whole summer, but then all of a sudden you stop putting chemicals in, right? It's going to be completely black within no time. And it's almost like what happens with the body. You're allowing your body to be raised in a manner that's nice and healthy for that cow, but then right before it goes into our body, so to speak, then we allow that cow to become toxic and unhealthy, which doesn't, in my mind, make a whole lot of sense.
So this whole process becomes so natural for the cow. They're able to go out and graze. So therefore their bodies are under a lot less stress. Their bodies are able to mature just the way that they were supposed to mature. So they're able to ward off any viruses or disease a lot better.
The other thing that happens when you're using grass-fed, grass-finished is because of the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that you're getting, you're increasing the quality of your omegas. I mean, this meat is loaded with the good, healthy omega-3s, right? You also have like 400% higher amounts of vitamin E. You're gonna get your CLA, the conjugated linoleic acid, which is great not just for boosting your own natural immunity, but also for those people who are trying to get the edge on trying to lose weight and stay lean and have good muscle mass. It's also been shown to benefit those folks as well. Oftentimes, something as a side note that people will say when they buy beef off of me, that because I raise grass-fed, grass-finished, is they're always amazed by how much less fat there is if they're making some sort of like taco meat or something like that. And the reason being is because, you know, grass-fed, grass-finished beef are leaner. They're more like a wildlife in the sense that they don't have all the fats, because you're getting that the animal itself is more mature naturally. They don't have all that fat and all that toxin. And so when they cook their meat, oftentimes we'll then have to cook it with something like coconut oil or something like that nature. Just because it is so lean, you are not going to get a whole pan full of nasty grease as a byproduct of cooking that meat down.
So where can you buy this grass-fed, grass-finished beef? Well, the best place to look is, well, your local farmers. But be careful, like Dr. Joel. But be careful. When you're driving up to the farm, look around. Where are these cows? Are they out grazing on the grass, or are they hidden? If they're hidden, you want to start questioning, how are these cows being raised? Then go in, ask the farmers, hey, what do you have on sale? What do you got? How are your cows raised? And then make your decision. But if that's too much of a hassle, you can go to your local grocery store. Typically a health food market are going to have better qualities. And then just read your label, like Dr. Feeman said earlier.
If you haven't already done so, we always mention go to our Facebook page, go to our Pinterest pages and our YouTube channel, because we try to continually put out helpful content to empower you and your family with truth and knowledge, so you know all the tips and tricks that you need in this world full of stress to get the advantage, so that way you can not only get healthy, but stay healthy for you and the people you love the most. Give us a like and a shout out. Feel free to share this with your friends and your family. Again, I'm Dr. Joel Feeman here with Sabrina to do everything we can to help you live a longer, healthier, more productive life possible. Until next time, God bless.